The greatest tragedy of man is not weakness, but the refusal to mask it. You complain the world does not respect you, yet you carry yourself like a beggar. Today, I will reveal the one truth that bends men, women, even kings to your will. Act as if you are the best, and soon no one will dare think otherwise. You walk into a room, and before a single word escapes your lips, you are already judged. The tilt of your chin, the pace of your stride, the strength or weakness of your gaze, these details, invisible to you perhaps, are the very weapons or shackles that determine how the world will treat you. Understand this truth. Men are not ruled by facts, but by appearances. It is not the reality of your worth that bends others. It is the perception of your worth. Consider the stage of life as a theater. Everyone acts, but most act poorly, stumbling through existence with hesitation. They reveal uncertainty in their shoulders, insecurity in their speech, and they wonder why no one listens to them. They wait to be recognized, forgetting that recognition is not given freely, it is seized, and the one who dares to project confidence, who dares to act like a king even without a crown, will soon find the crowd kneeling before him. History is littered with examples. A commander who loses a battle but walks among his soldiers as if he has already won, keeps his men loyal. A leader who falters in secret but appears unwavering in public maintains control over nations. Why? Because people trust the image more than the truth. The image is what they see. The truth is often hidden, complicated, too distant to grasp. You can control perception far more easily than you can control reality. Do you think Caesar conquered Rome because he was the strongest? No, he conquered Rome because he understood theater. Every gesture, every word, every triumph he paraded before the public was designed to shape how they perceived him. His enemies might have known his weaknesses, but the masses saw only invincibility, and invincibility, even when it is an illusion, is enough to make men obey. You must begin to master this same art. When you speak, do not mumble or wander. Command the space as if every syllable carries the weight of law. When you move, do not scurry as if burdened by tasks. Walk as though the earth itself should be grateful to feel your steps. Even the smallest interactions become part of your theater, the handshake firm and decisive, the posture upright, the silence between your words deliberate. Each detail crafts an image, and the image dictates your power. Now some will object, but is it not dishonest to act greater than I am? To which I say, does the world care for your honesty, or does it care for your strength? If the weak man flaunts honesty while the strong man flaunts power, it is the strong man who will dictate the rules and the weak man who will be forgotten. Honesty may be a virtue, but perception is a weapon. And in the arena of survival, weapons matter more than virtues. Perception creates hierarchy. Watch carefully when a group of strangers meet for the first time. Without exchanging credentials, without knowing each other's histories, they unconsciously rank one another. One person dominates conversation, another listens too much, another fidgets nervously. By the end of the encounter, the hierarchy has already been established, not because of truth, not because of merit, but because of how each one appeared. This is the silent law of human interaction. The one who controls perception controls the group. This is why the timid are ignored. Their silence screams weakness louder than any insult. This is why the arrogant, even when incompetent, are sometimes promoted, elected, even worshipped, because they dare to project superiority while others shrink in hesitation. It is not justice, it is not fairness, but it is reality. And to deny reality is to chain yourself to mediocrity. Perception is power, and power reshapes reality. Once you are seen as strong, opportunities arrive uninvited. Once you are perceived as a leader, followers appear from the shadows. Once you act as though you belong at the top, the world begins to rearrange itself to keep you there. Even your rivals will hesitate to strike, fearing the image you have built, as though the illusion itself might swallow them whole. So when you enter a room, remember, you are not merely entering. You are performing. When you speak, remember, your voice is not just communication. It is a proclamation of your status. When you look upon others, remember, your gaze does not simply observe. It declares superiority or weakness, depending on how you wield it. Every moment is an opportunity to project power, and every hesitation is an invitation for others to dominate you. Confidence is the sharpest blade in the arsenal of power. It is invisible, yet it cuts deeper than steel. Men who lack it crumble before those who merely appear to have it. Confidence is not simply belief in oneself. It is performance of certainty, the unwavering display that convinces the world you are untouchable, even if beneath the surface you are filled with doubt. Observe how society rewards it. A man may possess all the knowledge of the world, but if his voice trembles when he speaks, if his eyes dart at, though seeking permission, he will be dismissed, forgotten, cast aside. Meanwhile, another man, with far less knowledge but a spine of steel in his tone, captures attention, bends ears, and dictates direction. Confidence is the invisible crown that makes people treat you as if you are already a king. Do not mistake this for arrogance alone. True arrogance without control is foolishness. Confidence is not the loud bark of insecurity. It is the calm roar of dominance. It is the ability to stand in chaos and appear as though nothing can touch you. When others panic, you move slowly, deliberately, as if time itself waits for your command. This unsettles men. It unsettles women. It unsettles leaders. For in the presence of unshakable confidence, others begin to question themselves. Think of the courtroom, the marketplace, the battlefield. The timid hesitate. The confident seize. And the world, like an audience hungry for direction, rewards those who act with certainty. In politics, the confident speaker sways nations, even if his words lack substance. In war, the confident general inspires troops to march into fire, even when defeat looms. In business, the confident entrepreneur secures allies, investors, and followers, not because he has proven his worth, but because he projects his inevitability. The lesson is clear. Confidence is a weapon that conquers reason itself. People are not as rational as they pretend. They do not weigh facts carefully, nor do they analyze outcomes with pure logic. They feel strength, they sense certainty, and they gravitate toward it as if by instinct. Just as a child clings to the parent who appears strongest, adults, too, cling to the leader who appears most sure. That is why, if you cannot command with certainty, you will always serve someone who does. And what of those who lack confidence? They wait, they hesitate, they rehearse endlessly in their minds, afraid to act until perfection arrives. But perfection never arrives. Confidence does not grow in waiting, it grows in doing. You must act boldly, even when you are unprepared. You must speak decisively, even when doubt gnaws at you. The moment you hesitate, you betray yourself, and others see you for what you are: uncertain, weak, unworthy of command. Understand that confidence is not born from external approval. If you wait for applause before you move, you will never move. True confidence is self-created, self-forged, an illusion you impose upon the world until it becomes reality. Walk into the room as if you belong to it, even if you were never invited. Speak as if the words you utter cannot be challenged, even if they are flawed. Move as if the world rearranges itself to accommodate your presence, and soon it will. Look at the leaders of history who shaped empires. They were not always the most skilled, nor the most intelligent, but they had one trait in common. They projected certainty when others wavered. Their enemies doubted them. Their allies feared them. Their people believed in them. And belief, once gained, is the most powerful army a man can command. For the masses do not follow perfection, they follow conviction. Confidence bends perception, and perception bends reality. A man who declares his victory, even before the battle begins, unsettles his rivals. A man who enters negotiations as though he has already won, shapes the outcome before words are even exchanged. The confident do not wait for doors to open. They walk as though the doors were built for them. And when they do, others rush to hold those doors wide, fearing to stand in their way. But here lies the secret most overlooked. Confidence is not the absence of fear. Every great conqueror, every mighty speaker, every master of men has felt fear. The difference is that they did not show it. They buried it, masked it, twisted it into fuel. For confidence is not the destruction of doubt, it is the domination of it. To show doubt is to surrender, to hide it, to cage it, and to cloak yourself in certainty. That is to wield confidence as a weapon. When you step into a room, You declare your rank before a single word escapes your lips. Presence is silent dominion you cast over others. It is the aura that demands attention, the invisible weight that bends the room in your favor. You cannot purchase it, nor can you borrow it. It must be projected, cultivated, wielded. To dominate through presence is to remind others, without speaking, that you exist above them. Most people squander this moment. They enter a gathering timidly, hoping to blend into the walls, afraid to be noticed, terrified to take space. They believe modesty will earn them respect. They are wrong. Modesty is often mistaken for weakness, and weakness is a scent that predators detect instantly. The man who shrinks becomes prey before the game has even begun, but the man who commands presence, he sets the hierarchy from the instant he arrives. Consider a lion walking into a herd. The lion does not beg for recognition. It does not announce itself. Its very stride dictates who is predator and who is prey. Humans are no different. When you move with certainty, when your eyes scan the room with calm ownership, when your posture is upright and unshaken, you declare silently, I belong above you, and others, whether they admit it or not, will feel it. Presence is not about noise. A fool may shout, draw attention, gesture wildly, yet command no respect. Noise without weight is desperation. True presence is heavy. It fills the air even in silence. It makes others adjust themselves, lower their voices, shift their posture when you appear. It is the art of carrying yourself as though the world itself bends slightly in your direction. Think of rulers, generals, and men of influence. Their greatest victories did not begin on the battlefield, but in the room where their presence alone unsettled rivals. They spoke less, but every word seemed final. They moved little, yet every gesture seemed decisive. They understood that the one who dominates presence dominates the atmosphere, and the one who dominates the atmosphere dictates the outcome before the contest has even begun. To cultivate presence, begin with mastery of stillness. Do not fidget, do not rush, do not betray nervous energy. The one who is still appears in control, as though nothing can disturb him. Stillness is power because it forces others into motion around you. Next, own your space. Stand as though no one has the right to move you. Sit as though the chair was built for you. When you occupy a space fully, others unconsciously treat it as yours. And above all, wield your eyes like weapons. Look not timidly, but deliberately, as if you are measuring and commanding at once. A gaze that lingers with certainty unsettles more than words ever could. You must also understand timing. Do not rush to speak first, for the desperate man reveals himself by racing to fill silence. Instead, let silence serve you. Let others wonder what you are thinking. Let them adjust themselves in discomfort. Let them seek your reaction. And when you do finally speak, every ear will bend to you because your presence has already made your words heavier than theirs. Domination through presence is not about physical strength. The frail man who understands this law can command a room of warriors. Why? Because presence is psychological warfare. It implants doubt into others before conflict even begins. When your rival looks at you and senses that you do not flinch, that you do not hesitate, that you exude inevitability, his strength fractures before the first strike is thrown. Watch the hierarchy of any group form in real time. The one who dominates presence does not need to argue for leadership. It is granted to him by the silent will of the crowd. They follow not because of reason, but because of instinct. They feel safer aligning with the one who appears strongest, who acts as though he is already in control. Presence removes competition before competition arises. Those who fail to master presence live as shadows. They are overlooked in conversation, interrupted in their thoughts, dismissed before their ideas are heard. Their lack of aura strips them of influence, no matter their intelligence or skill. They may toil endlessly, but without presence, they remain invisible, and invisibility is death to ambition. Presence is a throne you carry with you. It is not tied to wealth, nor beauty, nor privilege. It is tied to the way you shape the perception of others. When you rise, rise slowly, as though time itself bends to your movements. When you speak, speak as though every word were inevitable. When you enter a room, enter as though it is already yours. Those who witness this will not question your place, for questioning you would feel unnatural. The greatest trick of power is not to be the best, it is to appear the best. Supremacy is rarely a matter of truth, it is a matter of perception carefully constructed, a mask so convincing that others never dare to look behind it. Men do not bow because they have measured your worth, they bow because they believe you stand above them, and belief, once planted, is stronger than any reality. You must understand that the world is built upon illusions. Nations maintain their authority not by the strength of their armies alone, but by the spectacle of grandeur, by the theater of invincibility. Kings once wore crowns of gold not because the metal made them divine, but because it made their subjects believe they were. The crown itself was the illusion of supremacy, and it worked for centuries, keeping millions obedient. Look closely at every figure who has ever commanded masses. They were not always the strongest, nor the wisest, nor the most deserving. They were masters of illusion. They understood that people crave certainty, and when certainty is absent, they will worship the illusion of it. The illusion becomes reality, for once others act upon it, the effects are no different than truth. The man who pretends to be untouchable often finds that others, believing it, never dare to touch him. This is why mediocrity, when wrapped in the cloak of confidence and appearance, often triumphs over true genius that hides in silence. The illusion of supremacy reshapes the battlefield before the battle begins. A man who appears to be a master is treated as one, and in that treatment, doors open, opportunities appear, and enemies hesitate. The illusion does not simply deceive, it creates the very reality it pretends to be. Consider the general who walks among his soldiers with a steady hand, his armor shining, his voice resolute. Perhaps inside he doubts, perhaps he fears the coming storm, but his men see only the illusion, a leader unshaken. They fight harder for him than for a man who reveals his weakness, and because they fight harder, the battle is won. What began as illusion becomes truth, because others believed it and acted upon it. Think of statesmen who deliver speeches with unwavering certainty. Perhaps his policies are flawed, perhaps his understanding is shallow, yet the public does not analyze every detail. They are captured by the aura of supremacy. They see a man who believes in his own dominance, and they follow his rivals. Those sharper are dismissed as lesser because they fail to project the same aura. The illusion of supremacy makes his words heavier, his presence larger, his influence inevitable. This is why you must never wait until you are the best to act like it. By the time you are truly superior, the game has already been claimed by those who dared to wear the illusion first. Begin now, even in your failures, wear them as though they were victories. Even in your ignorance, speak as though you are certain. Even in your weakness, move as though no one could defeat you. Those who witness it will interpret your flaws not as weakness, but as quirks of greatness. The illusion of supremacy is most dangerous because it is self-fulfilling. Once you convince others of your superiority, they will treat you as superior. And when they treat you as superior, you gain advantages, resources, and allies that elevate you above them in reality. What began as an act becomes the truth, for the world bends to the image you cast, but you must be relentless in sustaining the illusion. One crack, one hesitation, one glimpse of doubt, and the illusion begins to crumble. People do not forgive the fall of idols, they do not forgive the shattering of myths. If they see that you are merely human after all, their loyalty evaporates, their respect turns to scorn, and their worship becomes mockery. Therefore, guard the illusion as a fortress. Project confidence even when you bleed, maintain certainty even when chaos consumes you, and never allow others to glimpse the machinery behind the mask. Presence without illusion is noticed but not worshipped. Confidence without illusion inspires but does not enthrone. To dominate fully, you must craft the illusion that you are untouchable, that you are inevitable, that you are greater than any rival who dares to approach you. Supremacy is rarely real, but the illusion of supremacy is always effective. And once it is believed, reality itself bends to it. You have been told since childhood that greatness comes from talent, from fairness, from virtue, but the world does not bend to talent, fairness, or virtue. It bends to perception, it bends to confidence, it bends to presence, it bends to illusion. The masses are blind to truth, but they worship what they see. They submit not to the one who is best, but to the one who dares to act though no one could ever surpass him. And once you embody this, once you weave perception, confidence, presence, and illusion into your armor, you become untouchable, whether or not you ever truly were. Act as if you are the best, and soon the world will rearrange itself to prove you right.